All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to start. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Warm welcome to this webinar. And today we have a very, very interesting session, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome Vikas Malkani on this webinar. Uh, I want to start with how I know Vikas, and perhaps even he doesn't know this, because I bought your book, this one, A Little Manual of Happiness, and this was almost about 10 years ago, where I didn't know who you were. I just read the book and I was so, it was a small book, but, with great clarity. And, and that's when I started following you. And about a year back, we kind of connected and I joined your life wisdom coaching group. And since then, I've been with you through several other programs as well. I think the things that I really like about you, and I've kind of gone through several teachers, but of all of them, I found you extremely special because of really three things. One is the wisdom, the focus on wisdom. The second is the way that you use stories. And the third is the clarity of your articulation. And I think, those are the ones that have kind of drawn me to you and have kept me, kind of going. And I, I know that you're busy, and I'm, I appreciate your generosity in being here. Thank you very much for that. Let me give the audience a little more background about Vikas. So Vikas is an award-winning entrepreneur, best-selling author. He's a global speaker. He's an advisor and coach to CEOs, business owners, celebrities, and even royalty. He's a TEDx speaker. He's been called the world's #1 wisdom coach. And I can vouch for the fact that he is indeed #1 because I've been through the journey. I know, what he teaches, and I've, kind of benefited a lot from that. So we have a, esteemed teacher with us today, and I hope, we benefit from that. Vikas is also the founder of Soul Center and Soul Kids, both award-winning brands based out of Singapore, but they've impacted people across several countries around the world. He's been featured in TV, radio, news articles, you name it. So clients say Vikas is the Buddha and the Sun Tzu combined as one person, and you're going to see that person in action today. So thank you again, Vikas, for being here. And is there anything else that you'd like to add to your background before we start off?
Well, thank you very much, Sriram. And that's such a wonderful introduction. I hope I live up to it. And it was interesting for me to find out how you got in touch with me and why you got in touch with me. And the little manual of happiness is indeed a little manual, but it has a very big message, because happiness is primary in our life, whether we realize that, aware of it or not. Actually, everything that we do is driven by the need for happiness, the search for happiness. And you're doing similar work to what I'm doing. So I'm so happy that you're a part of our Life Wisdom Coaches group, a tribe that's growing around the world. And it's been a joy working with you. And also, I want to thank everyone here today, because we have 30 people signed up now. I'm aware that India is in the middle of cricket fever. The World Cup is on. And I know at the moment today, right now, as we are doing this session, India is playing Sri Lanka, and it's a big match. And so, for all the people who have showed up here, I'm so grateful. Thank you. And I shall give you my best today, as much as we can in the time that we have, because my intention is that your time is valuable, and I want to send you back with great value. So let's get started, Sriram. I'm ready to dive in.
All right. So let's start with your views on the current state of urban professionals in terms of their stress and fulfillment.
Okay, wonderful question to start out with. But to be able to give you an answer, we have to first look at what's happening in the world today. If you look at the world around yourself, if you've put on the news, you read the media, you read newspapers, or you do your own research, you'll find that the world is becoming much more chaotic. It's becoming conflicted. There are many, many more challenges today than there were possibly 20, 30 years ago. And also this means that we are living in a world of competition. Because today, no matter where in the world you work, you have competition from pretty much every other country. If they step up, you have competition. So we are living in a borderless world, I believe, because technology has given us that power, and therefore the level of competition is increasing. So understanding all of these factors, the chaos, the crisis, the conflicts, the challenges, the competition, it's quite natural that the people who are in the workplace will be under pressure. They will be impacted. So what I like to tell every client that I work with is that stress is not optional. Stress is reality. If you are living, if you're alive, you will encounter stress. It's not optional. You can't say, I don't want stress. Your work will not allow it. Your life will not allow it. Your country will not allow it. Life will not allow it. So what we need to learn then is the skill of managing stress. And managing stress is step one, because after we learn to manage it, we can master it. We can go to step two. We can master it. And what does it mean to manage it first? It means that I must not let the stress that comes and hits me, that's around me, I must not let it break me down. I must not let it minimize me. I must be able to withstand it. I must be resilient enough so that the stress doesn't crumble me. Now, mastering stress is a whole different ballgame, because that comes with the wisdom that I keep talking about. Mastering stress is about taking stress and making something good of it. You know, becoming anti-fragile. Anti-fragile is a word that's become quite popular at the moment, but it's a very ancient concept. The ancient masters talked about turning poison into medicine. That was the phrase they used, turning poison into medicine. You take something that is negative for you, but you turn it into something more positive. That's the concept of anti-fragile also, which means that you become like a muscle, which is going to become stronger when it is stressed, rather than, let's say, a rod of glass, which breaks down when it's stressed. So, you know, stress is no longer an option. We have to learn how to manage it and then grow to master it so that we can make something good of our life. So the state of current, the corporate, let's say, the corporate environment, the workplace, the people working in this workplace, you know, the corporate professionals all around the world, and not just India, all around the world, the level of stress, I believe, is increasing. And I also believe that most people are not empowered to manage it and master it. And therefore, you see that the level of mental health challenges is also increasing. Any country you look at, they're talking about mental health. I mean, some countries have come up with national budgets that they are going to utilize to help companies and organizations, all the way down to educational institutions like schools and universities, manage mental stress,
especially
mental health challenges.
Especially post-COVID, I
Yes.
think they've become huge, focus areas.
Yes. So, you know, the level of stress is going to increase, and I think we need to be prepared for it. Mental health is already a tsunami. It's coming. It's hitting many countries. It's hitting India too. We respond to it culturally. You see, after all, people are conditioned, and we do what we are trained to do till one day we wake up and we can break out of that cycle of conditioning. But till we wake up and break out, we are going to respond culturally. So I think in India, slowly and gradually, but certainly, people are becoming aware that mental health is an issue, and there are avenues that we have to be able to remedy it. So that is, I think, my view on the corporate workplace, and every person here should pay attention to that, because it's going to become more challenging. And listen, I mean, specifically for India right now, India is a land of 1 billion entrepreneurs, it's the way I look at it. We are a land of 1 billion entrepreneurs and 500 million professionals. It's in our blood. I'm from India too. So I've grown up with this. Everybody in India is driven to have a better life. You see the panwala, the man on the street who sets up a shop, or he's making tea on the roadside, or he's setting up a stall to prepare some food. But his interest is in, I want to make myself a better life. And the way to do that is to earn money or to have stability of income. And so Indians are driven, I believe, this might be wrong, but this is my opinion, my personal opinion, that Indians are driven to prove themselves, which is one of the indicators of future success. You're driven to prove that you are capable and that you are, you have made it. It's good. It creates the success, but along with the success, it also creates the stress. And therefore, we need to learn to manage and master stress.
Fantastic. And I'm going to come back to the stress and the corporate in a while. And but before we go there, so the way I got into the whole happiness focus area was because, I found success at the workplace, but then after a point of time, it stopped having meaning. And, I felt empty on the inside. And then I went searching and then, found different masters, teachers, and then that led me to the focus on happiness. And, and I want to hear your own story, your origin story, how you started, how you got in, and, how you are where you are now.
Yes. I think it's quite similar to what you experienced, Sriram, but maybe a little bit different. In Thailand, they have this wonderful phrase where they say same, but different.
Yeah.
So I was born in New Delhi, brought up in New Delhi, and lived large part of my younger life in New Delhi, went to school in New Delhi, but I was born into a business family. My father was a first generation entrepreneur. So he was 7 years old when India was divided. The British left 1947. And India was split into two countries. So my father's family were landowners, but unfortunately, all the land was now in Pakistan, the new country of Pakistan. And they were Hindus, so they had to leave. Essentially, they decided that it's not safe for us to stay here. So they decided to pack their bags. It was a time of great chaos. There were riots, there was communal riots, there were religious riots, all sorts of things were happening. So the family escaped and they started, my father started his life in a refugee camp. So essentially they went from rich landowners to basically starting with nothing. And my father was the youngest of five children. So, when you're the youngest, you usually have to take care of yourself. And so very early on in life, he started working. He did not have a full education, but he educated himself over the years. And before my father passed away, which was 2 years ago, he was one of the most intelligent and well-connected people that I knew personally. And I know so many. But I would still enjoy going back to India, spending time with him, talking about world politics, geopolitics, what's happening in USA. And so basically, he educated himself to a very high level. And he started working simply to earn some money to be able to feed himself. And then eventually, long story, but made short, at some point of time, he started his own company and became an entrepreneur. And through sheer hard work and determination and a vision, he became very successful and the company grew and grew. And we were one of the top garment companies coming out of Delhi and exporting to the world. Some of the older generation here today might recognize the name of Avis Jeans. Avis Jeans was a fairly large company. We had 90% of our turnover was exports and only 10% was in India, which was still quite a big chunk. And if you remember people like Jackie Shroff, the actor, the father of Tiger Shroff, Jackie Shroff was a model when we took him on and he modeled for our product and, it really took him higher. Also a woman called Aishwarya Rai. If you remember Aishwarya Rai, I believe she's now the daughter-in-law of the Bachchan family. But she was a model. And again, our company, Avis Jeans, took her on and she modeled for us. And then her career, kept on rising. So that was the company my father started and made grow. So he was my first inspiration, Sriram. As I was growing up, young boys and young girls look for inspiration. They look for heroes and models. And for me, there was a person right in my house, his success and the way people treated him, the way he talked and treated other people. It was all very inspirational for me. So I learned a lot from him, not formally, but by watching him, by spending time with him. But then as I grew a few more years, as I became a young man, I was in my pre-teens and then in my teens, I began to notice that along with all the success, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress, and the stress has impacted health. It has impacted relationships, friendships, everything. So I began to question that, is this the only way of life? Is this the only way it's going to be? Or is there a better way? Because even then, I was clear that I want the success. Oh, yes, I want the success, but I don't want the stress. I want to have good relationships. I want to have good health. I want to enjoy my life every day, not just when I achieve a goal. Right? I'm saying this again. I mean, it makes no sense to simply enjoy and celebrate when you achieve a particular goal and then get back on the treadmill to be able to struggle again and suffer again and sacrifice again till all the way one day you achieve another goal. So I thought to myself, isn't there a better way that we can begin to celebrate life every day? And then also that led to more questions. What is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? So all of those big questions came inside me, and I began to ask people around me, but I didn't get any answers. And, people just told me, look, you're too young to ask all these questions. Just do, what you're supposed to do, get an education, get a job, or start working and then make money and become successful. But I was wise enough, I think, or maybe, naive enough to believe that there was a better way. So I began to ask questions, and the more questions I asked, the more I realized that I need people of wisdom to guide me. Now, fortunately, we are all blessed. If you're born in India, I tell you, you are blessed. Now, there's a lot of problems with India. Don't think that I'm living in a fantasy world. There's a ton of problems with India, and they will get sorted out slowly. But one of the blessings of India is that you have access to ancient wisdom. And I didn't realize that for a long time. There are still people of great, great wisdom, enlightened wisdom in India. And they are not the ones on TV, by the way. So, those are the ones you have to really go out and search and find. And sometimes life brings you to them. So I began to look for some such people. My journey started when I was 14. And I continued on this sort of spiritual search and quest for the next 15 years till I was 29. And I tried everything. I went to every guru, every master. But you see, along with this journey, my normal life, the conditioned life, was also continuing. So my education, then I finished my education in India. Then I worked for 1 year. Actually, I worked in our own company in the factory and the office for 1 year. And in the meantime, I gave my SATs and the TOEFLs, and then I went to the USA for my undergraduate. And once I came back, again, I started working. But all along, the spiritual journey had continued, the journey for the answers. So at 29, I remember I had my inner breakthrough. People call it Satori, people call it enlightenment moment, whatever. The name doesn't matter what we term it. But the experience changed me. The experience changed me completely. And now I began to realize that the purpose of my life was not to go to office every day and to run a company and to pick up phones and call offices and call factories and learn how much product we had shipped out and what was going to be our turnover and revenue this month. And, all of that was not the real purpose of my life. So at that stage, I decided that the wisdom that I had received and the techniques and the tools that I had received and utilized were what the whole world needed. Because when I looked around me, I found that everyone was suffering to a degree. When we have regrets, when we have a sense of conflict, when we have dissatisfaction, that is a level of suffering. That's a degree of suffering. People are not celebrating life. Life is the greatest gift, and we are not seeing that. So I decided that I'm going to shift my life, and I'm going to leave my position as the CEO, because by the time of 29, I had become the CEO of the company. My father wanted to step down, and he put me as that position. So I was the CEO of the company, and it was a good company. It was a good position. My life was very comfortable, but it was not my life purpose. What in India we would call dharma. It was not my dharma. I became very clear that the purpose of my life, the best use of my life, was to be able to share this wisdom with as many people as I could. So I made up my mind. It took me about a year to make that shift because nobody around me was keen for me to do that. My parents weren't, my family wasn't, my wife at that time wasn't. No one was keen that I should leave that life and start again as a teacher, a coach, somebody wanting to share wisdom with the world. But I knew that I had to listen to my inner voice, because after all, and I say this to everyone today, the worst mistake you can do in your life is to live a life of regrets. Regret is the cancer of the soul. So don't live a life of regrets. And I didn't want to live and grow old and then regret that I never took that chance. So I did. So at 30, I shifted my life. I left as the CEO of the company, and therefore I had to leave the family business, and I started all over again from nothing. I started my company called Soul Center because it's about bringing people to their soul. The center of your life should be your soul. And what is the soul, by the way? To put it in simple English, because that's what I do. I make things very simple. The soul is your highest potential. Think of your highest potential, and the label for that, the name for that, the term for that is your soul. Your soul is above your mind because your mind is limited. Your mind is limited by what you put into it. Here's something that we all must understand. You see, we are born with a mind. We are not born with a mindset. I say this again. We are born with a mind. We are not born with a mindset. As a child, when you come, you have a mind. You have an instrument. But then how do you use that instrument? How do you develop that mindset? It depends on what you have around you. The parents, the family, the culture, the community, the religion, the teachers and the preachers. And all of that conditions your mind. That is what creates your mindset. So you're born with a mind. You're not born with a mindset. But that mindset that you create will either give you success or give you failure. It'll give you the celebration that I talk about, or it'll give you the regrets that I talk about. So I realized very quickly that, what we need to really do is to help people to get that right mindset so that we can truly, truly, truly celebrate our life. So I had to shift my whole life, and I decided I'm going to start, this company. And what is this company about? Reaching our highest potential. So I call that the soul, because the mind is limited. The soul is higher than that. And therefore, Soul Center started. And basically, you've heard about people talking about, I went from zero to hero. A lot of people have this kind of a cliched phrase, my life is from a zero to a hero. Mine is a little bit different. My life is a hero to a zero, and then from a zero back up to the hero, where we won so many awards, and I had a show on TV in India, and all of this, what you mentioned in your introduction so kindly, Sriram. So that's my past. I've been in the corporate world. I've run a big multi-million-dollar company. I've been at the CEO position. I've handled, our company at one point of time employed 3,500 employees in 4 different states of India. So I've done all that. And that's also one of the reasons why I can truly connect when I coach people who are entrepreneurs, business owners, corporate professionals, C-suite, senior leadership teams, and I coach them all. So I can connect with their challenges. I understand their problems. I understand their limitations. I understand what the mindset that they have is and what they need. So, that was one part of my life. But the other part of my life was the spiritual wisdom, the greatest wisdom on the planet that I received from enlightened masters. And not every master I met was, by the way, enlightened or authentic. I went through the good and the bad. But the more you experience, the more you realize what is real and what is not. So the second part of my life is that wisdom, which is really the life purpose that I follow today. My dharma, my life purpose is to share the wisdom in the simplest manner with people everywhere. so that their lives can become a celebration, because life is the greatest gift and it should be a celebration. And you should not celebrate once a year on your birthday. You should not celebrate once a year on your anniversary. You should not celebrate once a year on Diwali. No, 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 that's not allowed. That's not up. You have to celebrate every day of your life, no matter what. Here's the thing, life will never be perfect, but life can always be a celebration. You know, Diwali is coming up, right? The biggest festival in India. Now, the Hindu New Year, correct? And because I'm speaking to an Indian audience, largely an Indian audience, but I have some of my clients and my students also from different parts of the world joining in. But and Diwali is just coming up. It's around the corner. So it's a good metaphor to use. You know, in Diwali, what do? We do two things. You see, we clean up our homes, first of all. In Diwali, you clean out your mess, you get everything new, you know, you get your walls painted, you get your windows cleaned up, you know, you do all that. You make your house fit for Goddess Lakshmi to come in, you know. Now, all of these traditions, there's a metaphor, there's wisdom behind it. But basically what we do on Diwali is we put out the old, we take away the old, we take away the broken, we take away things that are ignored, and we clean out our house. So we clean up, and then what do? We light up. We light up the house. We make it bright. We make it shiny, because light is something that raises our energy. Now, I say, why only do that on Diwali? You know, my new formula is you should celebrate Diwali every day, which means what? Every day of your life, clean up and light up. Clean up your mind and light up your life. So that's what we need to do. That's my life purpose. I help people to celebrate life using wisdom every day, every day, every day.
Fantastic. Clean up and light up. Okay, so there are two important tracks that I picked from what you said, which is around, you know, purpose and around mindset. And I want to start with the first, which is meaning, fulfillment, purpose. Everyone wants it. Very few people know how to get it. So what should one do? What is the promise that we are born with?
The promise that we all are born with, Sriram, is actually the promise of potential. It is the potential of who I can be, what I can achieve, what can my life become. Believe me when I say that when you are born, none of this is decided. I know there are ancient traditions of astrology and astronomy and Jyotish and XYZ, and there are blueprints that you can use to work with. But trust me when I say that the future, the destiny of any individual's life is not pre-written. So the promise that we are born with is, what do I make of my life? Now, the sad part of it is that when we are young, when we are children, there's no one to teach us this. You know, I recently put out a story on TikTok. My channel I have on TikTok, I have on YouTube. TikTok, I believe, is not available in India, but this story went viral, got over 500,000 views, you know, very quickly. And it's a story of 450 sheep, Sriram. And this happened in real life, okay? Now listen carefully, because actually this has implications for us. So on the 8th of July, 2005, 450 sheep jump off a cliff in Turkey and commit suicide. That's the headline in the newspaper. 450 sheep jump off a cliff, commit suicide. Now, people around the world read this, and there's a group of scientists, and they say, how can this happen? I mean, sheep are not known to do this, right? They don't commit suicide. Certain creatures do, certain species does, but not sheep. So what's happening? So let's research. So long story, but I'm giving you the capsule version. They do research for a few months. They go to that village, they question people, they do investigation. And what do they find at the end of it? They find that this village is a village of shepherds. They have a lot of sheep. Every home has some sheep. Now, instead of every home taking their sheep out to graze, they've come up with an efficient system. Every day of the week, a few boys are designated to collect the sheep from every village, every home, and take it out as a group, a herd of sheep. Now, the village is at the base, it's on the foothill of a mountain. So, of course, they go up the mountain and around the mountain and on all these trails. And on this day also, they are doing it the same as they have done every other day. They've collected the sheep, and there's a few thousand sheep, and they are taking them up that trail, up that mountain to graze. And eventually in the evening, they're going to bring it down. Now, you know the sheep, how they are. They always travel in herds, in groups, in big groups. They are being herded, they're traveling in a group. Now, you see, here's the interesting thing. When you're in a group, the person in the front, which everyone thinks is the leader, may not be a real leader. That person might be just pushed around by the others saying that, look, you stand up and you go in the front and you're the face of the company, you're the face of the country, you're the face of our party. You do. But maybe that person doesn't know what they're doing. So in this group of sheep, the same thing happens. There's a sheep in the front. Everyone thinks he's the leader, but he's not really the leader. He's just arrived there by chance. But now there's all these other sheep behind him who are pushing him forward. So he thinks they know what they're doing. The people behind me know what they're doing. Now, what about the sheep right at the back? Well, everyone else is going in this direction, so obviously I better follow, right? Social coherence. I want to do what everyone else is doing. So the sheep at the back are simply following the crowd. What about the sheep in the middle? Well, they're in the middle and there's like this herd, everyone around them pushing them forward in movement, and they dare not stop. They dare not stop, because if they stop, they will be crushed in a way. So they keep on moving for their own reasons. Everyone's moving in that one direction, but nobody really knows what they're doing. The sheep in the front goes too close to the edge, Sri Ram, and he falls over unintentionally. He falls over and he falls right to his death. But you know, the interesting thing the scientists discovered is that after that one sheep fell over unintentionally, accidentally, one by one, 1,500 sheep jumped off after him before the shepherds could step in and stop them. 1,500 sheep jumped off and died. Well, they didn't all die. Only 450 died because they were the first 450. They died and all the other sheep landed on them. They were injured, but at least they were saved. Now, why do I say this story? Because actually, this is also how humans live. Sometimes our leaders are not real leaders. They have no plan. They have no strategy. Their strategy is to fight with the other leaders. Their strategy is, others know what I'm doing. They've put me here, so I must be the right guy. And what about the masses? The masses are just doing what everyone else is doing. Follow the crowd. What about the guys who are right at the back, at the lower end of society? They want to do what everyone else is doing. So essentially, we may be doing the wrong thing if we are just following the crowd. For everyone listening today, if you want fulfillment in your life, start questioning your life. There's a great master from ancient Greece called Socrates. And Socrates said that an unquestioned life is not worth living. Question why you want what you want. Question why you work in the work that you do. Because we are all like conditioned sheep. I use the term sheeple. Sheeple. We are people on the outside, but on the inside, we are sheep. We are sheep pretending to be people, sheeple. Look, and by the way, I'm guilty of this. Till one day I woke up and I realized, what the hell am I doing with my life? As we grow up, what are we told? From when you are a young girl, a young boy, what are we told? India, USA, Canada, America, anywhere, any part of the world. What are we told? You need a good education. Why? When you go to school, you're told get good grades, right? Why? You need to be a good student. Why? Question why. Now, what we are told is this. You need to get good grades because when you get good grades, you're a good student. But is that the truth? A good student is someone who learns, who's interested, who's curious, who's engaged, who's immersed, may not get the best grades. You know who gets the best grades? The one who memorizes the most. Question everything. We are conditioned. Go to school, get good grades. So finally, let's say you come out of school. Then what? You need to exit with a good report card. You know, in your 10th, in your 12th, in your O levels, A levels, you need to come out with a good report card, because that will get you the next thing. You'll get a good college. So once you get a good college, then what? Then do well, get a good high GPA. Why? Because when you exit college, you'll get a good university, or if you want to go higher for your MBA or your PhD, everything is for the next step. And finally, when you're ready to enter a workplace, you need to exit with a really good report card, really good grades. Why? Because then you'll get a good job. By the way, what's a good job? A good job is a job that pays you the most. That's what we are told. But do you know, I've been doing my work for 25 years and more, Sriram, all around the world. You know what I found? Some people in the best paying jobs are actually very unfulfilled. Just like I was when I was 29, just like you were. At all levels, I coach people. I coach CEOs of billion-dollar companies. I coach entrepreneurs who started from nothing. Now their company is worth 20 million. And I coach people who are just starting out. But what I have found is that one large part of fulfillment is to do work that brings you joy. It could be anything. You know, if you love numbers, if you love to work with numbers, the work for you is an accountant. It's not about picking the post that gives you the greatest pay. It's about picking the post that gives you the greatest joy with the activity, because you will do the activity every day. Now, here's another scary truth to understand. Look, how much do we work? You know, a normal job, 9 hours, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, right? Depends on which country you're in. Okay, so 5, 6 days a week, 8, 9 hours a week, 8, 9 hours a day. Now, how much do you sleep? How much do you sleep every day? If you're lucky, you sleep 8 hours a day. But you know, even if you sleep 8 hours a day, what that means is that the amount of sleep that you have is equal to the amount of work that you're going to do. Should you not have a restful sleep? Every doctor says you should. Then why doesn't anyone say you should have joyful work? No one says that. No one says that. So we end up spending 1/3 of our life, because 8 hours a day is 1/3 of our life. My dear friends today, listen up. 8 hours a day is 1/3 of your life, really. Why would you invest 1/3 of your life in something that brings you no joy? I'll tell you, because your mindset says, well, it doesn't matter if you have joy, but you must get the money. You must get the paycheck. But that also is a wrong mindset, because you're already presuming that you cannot do something you enjoy and make money. Now, again, the facts don't fit your mindset, because the facts say that the richest people in the world, the most successful people in the world, are people who really love what they do. So there's a disconnect somewhere, you see. So, you know, how do we get fulfillment? Well, the first thing we have to do is to question our mindset. What are we seeking here? Where's our fulfillment going to come from? Is it going to come from a certain dollar figure, a certain amount of money in my bank account? Is it coming from a certain position? Because none of that is stable. Or is it coming from the activity? If it's coming from the activity, yes, it's the right decision. But if it's coming from a position or a dollar figure, believe me, you've got it wrong. Let's set it right. So the idea of fulfillment and contentment is a key component of happiness. It's a key component of happiness. There are 3 components of happiness that I talk about, Sriram. Very interesting, huh? But it's a key component. So we must all find work that we love to do. Now, listen, please, I say this with a little warning, okay? I'm not asking anyone to go and quit their jobs tomorrow. Please don't do that. Don't do that, all right? I mean, you need good coaching. You need a good mentor. Connect with Sriram, connect with me, and let us guide you through to a place where you're ready to make the shift. Please don't do anything impulsively, emotionally. That's how wars start. both wars in families and wars in countries. Okay, so let's not do anything impulsively or emotionally. Let's do it with wisdom. And wisdom is the way to win in your life. Sorry, that's a long answer for a short question, Sriram.
Great answer. Great answer. Thank you. Thank you. I want to touch upon, you told us the story of the sheep. And I know that, stories are a big part of your coaching methodology. And that is one of the things that really drew me to you as well. So what's with the power of stories? Why does it work? How do we leverage them in our lives?
Well, I love stories. And, there's many reasons why stories are extremely powerful, but I'll mention a few. First of all, stories are the oldest form of communication. If you think back, you go back older, in terms of world history, keep going back. You'll find that actually people were united around a story. You see, coming from India, what is the Ramayana? It is a story. It's one of our ancient epics, but it's a great story. I mean, I think the Ramayana is a better story than any Hollywood script writer can write. What about the Mahabharata? I mean, amazing story. What a story, right? And then there are many more. I'm just mentioning two of the more popular ones. But all around the world, it's the same. You have the Bible. You have the Old Testament. You have the Talmud. You see, so we are united around stories, and stories are the easiest way of passing messages down generations, which also means down people, right? So one person passes it to another, to another, to another. And here's the other interesting thing. A story is easier to remember and recall than facts and statistics. So a story sticks in our mind. It's sticky. It's easier to remember. Now, I take an example of something more current, okay? And I love good stories, and therefore I love good movies. So I remember watching a movie called Matrix. Matrix #1. Anyone here watch Matrix? Raise your hand so I can see you. And a lot of you have videos not turned on. Come on, guys. Please don't hide your beautiful self. Turn your video on so we can see you. Just as you can see us, right? So a lot of you, yeah, show of hands, excellent. So, I watched the Matrix #1, I think maybe 10, 15 years ago when it first came out. And of course, I liked it so much, I went back and watched it again and watched it again. Now, for 10 years, I haven't thought of it. But now on your program, Sriram, if I begin to think of the Matrix, I can remember the story right away. Now, do I remember any statistics from 10 years ago? None. So understand this, a story goes into your subconscious mind. Statistics, facts, numbers will stay in your conscious mind. Another reason is a story can give you a big message in a short form, right? Like the Mahabharata, like the Ramayana, multiple lessons, of course, but they are given in a short form. Thank you. A lot of you have put your videos on, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's a form of connection, and it's also a form of respect. So I respect you when I see you. If I don't see you, I don't know what you look like, so I can't connect with you. Thank you. Please don't hide your beautiful self. You've got to show your face to the world. Okay, remember this. Don't hide your face. You've got to show your face to the world, so never hide. Okay, so stories, big message in a short form. Here's another form, or rather a reason why stories work so well. Stories are always non-threatening. Non-threatening. So let's say in a coaching situation, all right, there's a client in front of me, and I can see clearly as the coach, as an experienced coach, I can see clearly where their challenge is, what they need to do. I can see what they're doing wrong. But now if I say, John, let me tell you what you're doing wrong. Suddenly John is defensive. Now compare that to if I say to John, let me tell you a story. Suddenly John's open and curious, like what story is coming? Now I don't tell the story about John, but I tell a story so that he can get a message. Here's a story for all of us, very powerful, one of my favorites. I mean, I told you the story of 450 sheep. right? In 2 minutes, I told you that story. Wasn't that a big message? And if I sat down to actually explain to you about conditioning, about the herd mentality, about how leaders are not real leaders sometimes, about a lot of people don't know what they're doing, how long would it take me? It would take me 2 hours, and it would be a very serious, heavy conversation. But in a story like that, so quickly the message gets through. Here's another one with a very big message. And this is a story about a grandmother and her grandson. It's a story I tell children, but I also tell their parents, and I even tell corporate leaders. A grandmother and a grandson are out for a walk one day. They live in a village in India. They're out for a walk. He's walking ahead of her. She's walking behind, keeping her eye on him. Suddenly, he stops and he runs back to her and he says, Grandma, I'm very afraid. She says, why? Why are you afraid? What happened? He says, well, there are 2 dogs ahead of us on this path, and they are wild, ferocious dogs, and they're fighting with each other. So they're jumping, biting, snarling, fighting with each other. And I'm really afraid, Grandma, if we go forward, they might bite us. So she says, okay, son, don't worry. Come, we'll sit here and we'll watch the 2 dogs fighting. So they sit down and they're watching the 2 dogs fighting. A minute later, she asked him, she says, tell me, out of these 2 dogs, which one will win the fight? So this young boy, he's only about 8 years old, he looks and he says, Grandma, I think the one on the right will win. She says, why did you say that? He says, come on, Grandma. I mean, if you look at them, the one on the right is the bigger, stronger dog. So he will win the fight. Of course, he will win the fight. So as they keep watching, the boy is right. The bigger, stronger dog wins. He overpowers the other one runs away. So Grandma pats him on the back and says, well done. You're such an intelligent boy. Well done. So now he's feeling all nice and happy. He got his dadi's praise, right? Dadi means grandma in Hindi. So now she asks him a second question. She says, just like these 2 dogs outside who were fighting, do you know that there are 2 dogs inside your mind fighting with each other? And he says, really? Inside my mind, there are 2 dogs and they're fighting? And she says, yes, there are 2 dogs in your mind fighting with each other. Close your eyes and you'll see them. So he closes his eyes literally and he starts looking inside his mind, and then he opens his eyes and he says, yes, Grandma, I can see 2 dogs in my mind fighting. She says, okay, then tell me, out of these 2 dogs, which one will win? He says, but Grandma, first tell me, why are they fighting? I don't want these 2 dogs in my mind to fight. Why are they fighting? She says, that's very simple. You see, the first dog is the dog of your own positive voice. That dog always has a positive message for you. You're good enough. You're special. You can change your life. You can find happiness and fulfillment and success and freedom. You can find everything that you want in your life. But the other dog is the dog of your own negative voice. And that dog always has a negative message for you. You're not good enough. You can't do it. Life is so difficult. Life will not support you. You cannot change your direction. You'll never have what you want. And that's why they're fighting. They can't get along. So he says, oh, okay, now I understand, Grandma. She says, then tell me, out of these 2, which one will win? And he says, I don't know, Grandma. How do I know inside me which one will win? She says, it's very simple. The bigger dog wins, right? So inside you also, the bigger dog will win. He says, yes, Grandma, but inside me, which is the bigger dog? How do I know that? And she says, aha, here's the secret of your life. Never forget it, son. Inside you, whichever dog you feed the most will become bigger and it'll win the fight. Inside your mind are 2 dogs. Whichever dog you feed the most, it'll become bigger and it'll win the fight. And what a deep message that is. In every moment, we have 2 voices inside us. I can do it, I can't do it. I'm good enough, I'm not good enough. Life is suffering. No. Life can be a celebration. Which one wins? Well, that's up to us. The secret of life is whichever dog we feed the most, that dog will win the fight. And that means it will become our mindset. No one is born a pessimist. People become pessimistic. And let me tell you, no one is born an optimist. people become optimistic. A mindset is a trained condition. Mindset is a trained condition. Please remember, if you do not train your mind, believe me, you are a sheeple, you're a product of conditioning, you're a product of the crowd. Your mind is not your friend unless you train it. And this is the power of training the mind, which also is about meditation and wisdom. A large part, Sriram, a large part of my work with leaders, business leaders, is about their own mindset. It's about, even at that high level, people have fears, people have insecurities, people have challenges. To be able to see that and then to be able to overcome it. You follow? So power of stories is phenomenal. Big message in a short way. They are the most ancient form of communication and training and instruction. And we love stories, don't we? All of us do.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
I've of course heard that story before, and I love it every time that you say it, and it still creates, some impact. You brought about meditation, and I want to, kind of extend that a little bit. What are the absolute must-dos in terms of our day-to-day life, especially from a wisdom perspective? What are the things that people must really do every day?
Okay.
And I'm going to also, before you answer, because I'm going to ask the audience to, if they have questions, to put up something in the chat. We'll open up, for questions after this.
Certainly. And listen, guys, everyone who's here, take advantage of me. Nobody else will tell you this, okay? People will say, don't take advantage of me. I'm telling you, take advantage of me. I'm here with you today. Go ahead and ask me the $1 million question that you have in your mind. Because pretty soon this will also come to an end. All good things come to an end. This will come to an end, and then you will not have me to answer your question. So go ahead and take advantage of me today. I make myself available to be taken advantage of. You have my permission. So what are the absolutes? What are the essentials, Sriram? See, I think the context we have to start with is to realize, as I said earlier, stress is not optional anymore. Stress is a reality of life. But another reality of life is negativity. So no matter who you are, where you are, what you do, let me say this very clearly. Negative people and negative energy and negative environments are a reality of life. At some point, you will face that. Right? So we have to learn how to handle it. Now, the only way to handle external turbulence, external negativity, that external stress which is coming upon me, is to take charge of my inner world. Take charge of my inner world. As the Stoic masters from ancient Greece said, they said, rule the kingdom between your ears. Rule the kingdom between your ears. We are all rulers and we must rule the kingdom between our ears, which means the mind. So when that external stress comes upon me, external negativity or turbulence comes upon me, I must not shake. I must stay calm. I must stay collected, because it will impact my thinking and it will shake me if I am not trained. So what is meditation? Meditation is training your mind to be stable, to be secure, to be certain, to be clear. I mean, the Buddha said it so beautifully when he said that training your mind to be your friend is the purpose of meditation. Meditation is to train your mind to be your friend, because if you don't train it, it is your enemy. Think about it, through our years and years and years, I mean, we are talking about centuries of conditioning, which are in our DNA, which have been passed on to us. Our mind has a negative bias. And this is also now proven by psychologists and studies. Multiple studies have been done which talk about the fact that your mind has a negative bias, which means that your mind will always see the negative before it does the positive. Your mind will look for what's missing, what's wrong, what's out of place, rather than look for what's good and right and in place. Your mind will look at your curses more than it does your blessings. So your mind is not your friend unless you train it. And that's why we train the mind, so that we are able to handle life successfully, handle life peacefully, handle life with stability and certainty. Okay, so their techniques of meditation are many, many, many. And meditation came out of India. So in India, there have been many, many techniques which have been created. And of course, when you export things, then of course, once the exported model is taken and then, taken further and multiplied, then it changes form again. So all around the world, there are many different types of meditation and mindfulness. But to bring it down, back to your question, what are the absolute essentials? So I give you three things. Okay, three things to do every day. Take it as if it's medicine from Dr. Vikas, okay, the doctor of your soul, the doctor of your mind. Take it as if I'm giving you three vitamins to take every day. Every day, they say as you're going older, you have to take multivitamins. So I'm giving you the multivitamins today, right? Three of them. Number one, when you wake up in the morning, so you're not even getting out of bed yet. You haven't gone out, brushed your teeth, gone to the bathroom, have had your cup of tea, nothing. As you wake up in the morning, say thank you for being alive. Start your day with a positive thought of gratitude. It doesn't take long. It takes a few seconds to do it with awareness and attention. But initially, if you have never done it, you have to get used to it. You have to develop a habit of it. So a simple way to do that is to write a note for yourself and put it on your bedside table as you go to sleep. Because what will happen the next morning is you'll get up and you'll get out of bed and then you'll see the note on your bedside table, so you'll start. And slowly you develop a habit where you don't need the note. And as soon as you wake up, you say thank you. So set the mind's vibration, frequency, direction, just as you wake up. Okay. Step number one. Number two, before you become active in your day, you want to count your blessings. Now, I have a wonderful technique which I call 10 to Thrive, which I teach to my CEOs and my corporate professional clients. And it's available online. So, it's on YouTube, and I can send Sriram a link. Sriram, then you can make it available for your group also. But otherwise, if you Google me, you'll find it anyway. 10 to Thrive. It's a technique of counting at least 10 blessings in your life before you become active. And it has multiple benefits for your health, for your mind. It has so many different benefits on different levels. But essentially, you open your palms, you count your blessings, but follow the system, right? So I'll send a link and you do that. That's the second part, right? So that you do before you become active. Now, the third part is throughout the day, keep focused on your work. Keep focused on your work, whatever your mission is, whatever it is you're doing, keep focused on it because it deserves your full attention. You see, another part of wisdom is that whatever you do, give it your 100%. So I don't want you to be at work thinking, oh, I should be meditating. That's not right. That's not wisdom. When you're working, work. When you're meditating, meditate. When you're eating, eat. When you're sleeping, sleep. Do you see? So if you're here with me, please don't watch the cricket match. No, I give you permission. Go ahead. But the thing you do is you work all day unless you feel the stress, unless you feel that, the stress is coming in and you need to protect yourself, in which case you go back to your blessings again. But if life is all right, if life is normal, if your day is going as it usually does, continue till the end of the day. And then the third part is when you go to sleep, before you sleep, as you get into your bed and you're falling asleep, once again, say thank you for your day. Say thank you for your day and everything that happened in it, and the fact that you experienced another wonderful day of this miracle called life. And now you're going to go and sleep like a baby. It is a secret, I'm telling you. Wake up with gratitude, go to sleep with gratitude, and before you become active, reinforce your mind with your blessings, and you'll see what a different person you become. And this is a form of meditation, by the way. Meditation is not just sitting down and closing your eyes and, putting your hands in a certain mudra or reciting a certain mantra. All of those are forms of meditation. But what I'm giving to you is 21st century techniques.
Fantastic. So we are on time, but we'll just take a couple of questions, Vikas, if it's okay with you.
Yes, certainly.
From the chat. Okay, so Sai has a question on, a lot of things you're talking about is to do with self-care, but will this help in getting money?
Let's understand something about money. By the way, I have a formula. My entire teaching and my coaching is based on three pillars: wisdom, wealth, and wholeness. I repeat that: wisdom, wealth, and wholeness. You need to get wisdom first, because wisdom is the insight. Wisdom is the clarity which shows you how to get everything else. So this is also the reason why I say get wisdom first, everything else will follow. So we want to get the wisdom, step one, but then we also want to grow our wealth, because wealth is the fuel for life. Today, everything you do, you have to pay for it, essentially. Okay, today, I mean, if you go out and you want to drink water, they'll probably charge you something for it. If you're sitting at home watching TV, you're paying something for the electricity, for the connection, for the transmission. Everything costs money, because that's the world that we're living in. So wealth is not a bad thing, and wealth is not anti-spiritual. This is a misunderstanding. If anyone wants to break free from your limitations about wealth, I have a wonderful program called the 7 Spiritual Laws of Abundance. And you can do that online. So, connect with me and I'll guide you how to get that program. So wealth is important, money is important. But let's understand a little bit about money. What is the truth of money? Money is a consequence. I want everyone to remember this. Money is a consequence. A consequence means it has a cause. Cause and consequence. This is wisdom. Okay, wisdom. You want money, that's a consequence. Don't focus on the money. Focus on creating the cause. The consequence will follow. You see, you want a mango fruit, but the mango fruit is a consequence of the mango tree. The mango tree is a consequence of a mango seed. The seed comes before the fruit. That's why it is said, as you sow, so shall you reap. So think about creating the cause for the money to come to you. So let me say it very plainly. If you chase money, you will struggle. You will be unhappy. You will suffer. What you have to learn to do is to create the cause for money to come to you. Now, what is the cause for money? There's wisdom there again. What is the cause for money? The value that you provide brings the money to you. The value that you provide. I give you a simple reason, because listen, I don't just talk about spiritual wisdom. I talk about spiritual wisdom for present day success, present day abundance, present day wealth and prosperity. It's a big part of my life. I told you, my entire thought at 14 was, why can't I have it all? Why can't I have it all? I want to be a human being grounded, anchored in deep spiritual wisdom, but also successful abundantly in this world of material wealth. Do you see? Wisdom, wealth. And when you have both, that's when you get wholeness. That's when you become a complete human being. I don't want you to be deeply spiritual and begging around, for money. It's wrong. This is a wrong idea that we have. But at the same time, I don't want you to be super rich and totally empty on the inside, having bad relationships and life full of stress. That is also wrong. The real truth is that you must have both. So let's create the cause. The consequence will follow. What is the cause? It is to find value for the world. What is the value that you can find that the world will pay you for? Now, you know what? The new Apple iPhone came out recently. Now, you may be an Apple fan, maybe you're not. Doesn't matter. But I want to give you an example here. The company Apple, right, has one of the most loyal followings. And by the way, do you know they also have the most expensive phones? Everybody talks about the fact that their phones are overpriced, they are expensive. I can buy a cheaper phone, which has more features on it. Plus, I save 20,000 rupees. Do you know what just happened when Apple came out with this latest phone? There was a line outside their shop. People waiting to run it and pay more than they should to get that phone. Nobody forced them. They were camping there from 4 o'clock in the morning. At least that's what happened here in Singapore. Why? Because Apple brings a certain value to them. Now, what is the value? The Apple phone is not a phone. Come on, guys. The Apple phone is not a phone. The Apple phone is status. The Apple phone is cool. The Apple phone is, I'm somebody. The Apple phone is, I've paid more than I should. Do you understand? So get to the mindset of the people you want to serve and give them the value they need. Money will come to you. Let me tell you something. Please do my program, by the way, the 7 spiritual laws of abundance. It will blow your mind. But let me tell you something. There is no shortage of money in the world. Is there? If you're struggling for money, if there's a shortage of money in your life, then you're doing something wrong. There's no shortage of money in the world. There's more money now than there was 5 years ago. Do you know? Give up these ideas that the economy is under pressure. You know what they're doing? They're printing more money. I mean, at least in America and other countries, they're doing that. What does that mean? What does that mean? By the way, I'm not just a spiritual guru and a professional business coach. I'm also an economist. I'm also a strategist. So, it's a multi sort of that wholeness element all mixed in together. They are printing more money, and that means that there's more capital and money available for ideas, for companies, for startups, for people who bring value in one way or another. Do you follow? So give up this idea that the money is not there. Give up this idea that money is difficult to find. You need to adapt and absorb this idea. You need to accept the idea that I am doing something wrong. That's why there's less money in my life. And I'm telling you, don't go after money. Money is a consequence. Create the cause, the consequence will follow. It's an eternal, unbreakable law. Of course, for more details, get in touch with me, and we can, we can start some coaching on this. Sriram, I know I'm conscious of time. Otherwise, I can go on and on. So I'm very passionate about this subject. You can see.
Yeah. Now, I think we are, kind of way over time. I want to respect, other people's time. So we do have a few more questions in the chat, but I think we'll stop here. And on the note of giving value, I hope the audience got a lot of value. I got a lot of value, and I'm sure a lot of people benefited from this session. So Vikas, how do people get in touch with you if they want to, kind of engage with you in any form?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is an easy way to connect with me and send me a message. I'm also on Facebook. So you can connect with me on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. My channel is Wisdom with Vikas, but a lot of other interviews and videos are available on YouTube. So if you just Google my name if you search my name on YouTube, you'll get that. But otherwise, you can write to me on email, vikas@soulcenter.org, like organization, org. Vikas@soulcenter, that's SOULCENTRE.org. So LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, or drop me an email. And I have a lot of my training programs online. So if you want to get started on wisdom and learning what I teach, then you can also do that. So connect with me and I'll guide you there.
Yeah. So the email is on the chat for people who want to, kind of reach out to Vikas. So thank you so much, Vikas, for this wonderful session. Thank you to all the participants who've joined in today. I hope you enjoyed it. We will be putting up a recording of the session on YouTube, and you can go through it again, or kind of ask your friends to go through it as well. Until the next session, I'm grateful to have had Vikas in this session. Vikas, any final words from you before we close?
Yes, final words are, let's hope India wins the match today. And remember everyone, celebrate Diwali every day. It's not supposed to be a once a year event. That's the physical Diwali. But the internal Diwali should be celebrated every day. So clean up and light up.
Clean up and light up. On that note, we close for today. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you. Thank you, Sriram. My pleasure. Thank you.